Sun Life Stadium here in Miami, Florida. Josh Johnson and the Florida Marlins have just taken the field as the Phillies are preparing for Game 2 of this series, but also Game 5 of this road trip. Let's take a look at Charlie Manuel's starting lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, only from Comcast. Leading it off in center field, Shane Victorino, and it worked last night, so Wilson Valdez is back in the 2-hole over at shortstop. Chase Utley, the second baseman, bats third, followed by Ryan Howard, the first baseman. Jason Worth, after a night off, is back in right field, batting fifth. Raul Ibanez hits sixth. Juan Castro making his first start at third base tonight. He'll bat seventh. Carlos Ruiz will hit eighth. And batting ninth at pitching is right-hander Roy Halladay, and he will face Josh Johnson for the second time in his career.
Well, Josh Johnson is some kind of big-time pitcher. In fact, this is fun tonight. You have two guys that are very similar. They're big, tall, strong right-handers who throw a lot of strikes and challenge hitters. And those are the numbers on Josh Johnson. He hasn't been scored on in a while. And you see his left-hand hitter's only 150, and that's because he has such a good breaking ball and changeup. Southwest Airlines scouting report, heavy, heavy fastball. He had Tommy John surgery. May have come back throwing even better after it. And he is one of baseball's best pitchers. And you mentioned he is a true horse out there on the mound.
Well, and you also mentioned he hasn't been scored upon in a little while. He's got his last two outings without being scored upon. In fact, last outing, he didn't strike anybody out. It's the first time in his career. Meanwhile, Roy Halladay, well, he has been scored upon, but he's got an extra day's rest, and there's a lot of folks that think that that is really going to help him as he gets ready for tonight's ball game. So here we go, getting ready to get underway. Shane Victorino will lead it off. Victorino, who was 0 for 4 in last night's ball game, but scored a run, and it was a big one. They play in on the corners in the first pitch. A fastball popped up. Back at third, Hanley Ramirez, the shortstop, heads on over. And one pitch, one set aside here in the first. The scouting report on Josh Johnson is that he is going to throw strikes. And this Phillies team, which has been patient for the most part since the beginning of this year, may not be that patient the first time through because Johnson will throw strikes, but we'll see.
Well, the problem with Josh Johnson is with all great pitchers is that when he gets too far ahead of you, he'll put you away because he has several pitches to do it, and he can strike out hitters. And so if you see a fastball early in the count, sometimes you want to attack it.
Well, there's a fastball to Wilson Valdez, and he takes it inside. Charlie Manuel was saying before the ball game that he liked what he saw from Valdez in the number 2 hole last night, so he figured he'd give it a try one more night. Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Ben Baj of Philadelphia. Phillies hit a home run in tonight's ball game, and Ben's going to win a whopping $500. That's the next streak the Phillies have to get over, is hitting a home run. They haven't hit one in 36 innings.
We got a lot of bad numbers lately, huh?
Yeah, but they're getting better.
Yeah, I get rid of a few of them last night.
2-1 pitch, a fastball on the inside corner. It's 2-2 to Valdez.
Josh Johnson come out throwing fastballs. Now, I mentioned he will mix in a very good breaking ball and an outstanding changeup, especially left-handed hitters.
Opposite way for Valdez. Wilson Valdez, when he was in the minor leagues, he compiled the career average of about 300 and was a top of the order kind of guy. And that's one of the reasons why Charlie Manuel thought, well, he could probably do it on the big league level. Maybe not every day, but at least for a few starts until Placido Polanco recoups from that sore elbow.
And he doesn't know what he can get out of him, if anything. That's Charlie right now. You just don't know about Polanco, so I think he kind of goes into the game thinking he doesn't have him.
3-2 the count to Valdez. Toward the gap in left center field. That one is smoked, and Valdez is going to get at least 2 out of that one. Maven plays it in quickly, but Wilson Valdez is aboard with a lead, or with a 1-out double.
Well, see, that's the difference between getting ahead of a guy and then getting into a hitter's count, no matter how hard you throw the ball. And what it was, a 3-2, and now he throws a fastball that he doesn't want to walk him. And watch where this pitch is, right down the middle. And he pulled it. Early in the count, he was defensive. He was hitting balls the other way because he was late, worrying about some other stuff. But in this case, Johnson throws a fastball, and he hit that thing hard.
So a runner in scoring position for Chase Utley. Chase was 0 for 3 last night, but he really had a heck of a game. Defensively and on the base paths. Stole a base, scored a run, drove in a run with a ground out. And he's got a chance to give the Phillies the early lead here in the top of the first.
Johnson has thrown all fastballs so far.
There's Placido Polanco. Charlie said he re-aggravated that elbow, which bothered him for the end of April, the first week of May, the other day when he made 2 plays at third base, one reaching up and one reaching out. Towards second base. Valdez will move over to third on that ground ball. And 2 outs as Dan Uggla throws out Chase Utley.
Tambourine night here, or whatever it is. You know, people kid around and say, what would you do if you were commissioner for a day?
You wouldn't have tambourine
One thing
night?
I would outlaw, any giveaways that make noise.
Sounds like a horde of locusts running around here, huh?
It's only going to get worse.
Well, with 2 away, Ryan Howard is the batter. Ryan is 8 for 24 against Josh Johnson in his career. 4 for 6, as you see, with runners in scoring position. He's got Valdez over at third. 4 for his last 6. And he takes a pitch inside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Ryan so far this year is tied for 5th in hits and tied for 5th in singles with 41. It's kind of odd to see him sitting in the top 5 in singles, and he loops that one towards straightaway center, but Cameron Maybin comes on, makes the grab, and the Phillies strand a runner at third here at the top of the first. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left in scoring position. Time for Roy Halladay to go to work when we return. Oh, that young lady is not alone. There's a number of Philly fans that have chased Chase Utley from Philadelphia for this weekend series, enjoying Memorial Day in South Florida. Well, today's starting lineup for the Marlins, brought to you by Xfinity, only from Comcast. Leading it off in left field, Chris Coghlan. Gabby Sanchez, the first baseman, bats second. Hanley Ramirez hits third, followed by Jorge Cantu, the third baseman. Dan Uggla, the second baseman, is in the 5 hole. Cody Ross, the right fielder, bats sixth. And the bottom third of Brett Hayes, Cameron Maybin, and Josh Johnson, the face right-hander Roy Halladay, making his 11th start of the year. Wheels.
And he still has great numbers, even though he got hit around a little bit in that game by the Boston Red Sox. And they didn't catch the ball real well for him either.
Allowed 7 runs in 5 2/3, and he fires a fastball for a strike.
Southwest Airlines scouting report, pitching on that extra day's rest. That's the fastball he throws, along with a lot of other good stuff. Last 3 starts, numbers not real good. In fact, his last win was the 6th of the month against St. Louis at the ballpark at Citizens Bank Park.
Well, and he said they didn't catch the ball real well for him his last time out. They haven't caught the ball real well for him lately. But Roy Halladay said it might have saved me a couple of pitches, the 1 error by Greg Dobbs last time. But for me, I think the 6th inning was big. To me, that's where the game kind of got out of hand, and that was my fault. And he evens up the count 2-2 to Chris Coghlan. He said he just didn't execute his pitches in his last outing against the Red Sox, and that's been the case for him. And he falls behind 3-2 to Coghlan. Gabby Sanchez waits on deck. On the outside corner, called strike 3. Coghlan, I think, knew it. He was just hoping that the home plate umpire, Mike DeMuro, would give him a pass. 1 gone here in the bottom of the first.
The pitch looked like he was headed towards the outside corner. That's what he called it. Coghlan tosses the bat away because he thinks he has a walk. Carlos did a nice job of freezing that. You know, that pitchers really appreciate catchers that sit nice and still like that. And he even moved a little bit, but it didn't look like it, I wouldn't think, to the home plate umpire, because there was very little movement in his hand there.
Mike DeMuro is the home plate umpire. Tim Welke's at first. Jim Reynolds is at second, and Bill Welke's around at third. Mike DeMuro, whose dad was a major league umpire. He was the first umpire in Major League Baseball to ump over in Japan, and he did that in 1997 just to kind of refine his skills. Swing and a miss and a breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Charlie Manuel felt pretty good after last night's win because of the way the Phillies pulled out the victory and used their legs to help the offense along. And Charlie's had to answer a lot of questions about Roy Halladay over the last week or two because of his number of pitches that he's thrown over his last few outings. And Roy Halladay said, from the horse's mouth, the number of pitches that I've thrown doesn't and didn't affect me. It was a matter of not making good pitches. And he was talking more about his last outing against the Red Sox and maybe his outing before.
I think the other 2 times in his career he threw a lot of pitches like that. He threw shutouts after them. So, you know, end of story enough, Uncle.
Reaches out and pops it foul, and it remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss, and Sanchez way out in front of that one. There's another curveball from Halladay, 2 away.
He threw a good breaking ball there, 2-2 to get him. He threw him a good changeup earlier in the count.
During the 2010 season, Turkey Hill will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. Phillies have 27 wins this year. And as we showed you before, they're a game and a half up in the National League East over the Atlanta Braves, who are facing the National League East this week, or this weekend, before the Phillies come into town for a 3-game series. And a fastball to Ramirez is low, 1 ball and no strikes. Henley Ramirez is hitting .302 with 8 home runs. See his splits between home games here in South Florida and games on the road. And a swing and a foul tip. It's 2-1. By the way, I said the Braves are facing the East. They're facing the Central. They're facing the Pittsburgh Pirates this weekend. Yeah,
as they did last weekend. And they've won 3 out of 4 from them. They lost on a walk-off home run the final game of the series in Pittsburgh.
2-1 the count to Ramirez. And now Roy Halladay has fallen behind 3-1.
Quite a few pitchers falling behind. All 3 hitters so far, which is not like him, but he's come back to strike both of them out. First 2 guys. Bureau's got a good plate for a veteran pitcher, and Johnson may get the same treatment, so the hitters are going to be swinging the bats tonight.
Second hitter that's walked away thinking that he's had a walk. Chris Coughlin, the leadoff batter, thought he had a walk and he was rung up. Ramirez thought he had a walk, and now it's 3-2. Towards second base, hit hard, but it skips right on to Chase Utley, who throws over to first, and Roy Halladay has a 1-2-3 first inning. Easy inning for Halladay, not from a pitch count standpoint, but he works it, nothing across. Roy Halladay got the Florida Marlins in order at the bottom of the first inning, and every time the Phillies retire the opposing team in order, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by the Xfinity Triple Play, your complete lineup for digital TV, high-speed internet, and home phone.
See by Halladay mopping sweat off there. It is typical South Florida night, and it's hot and humid. Now, there's rain all over the place again before the game, and didn't get here, and hopefully it won't tonight. But one thing's for sure, it's not hard to get loose if you're a pitcher.
Josh Johnson has enjoyed his time here in South Florida. See the conditions up above, some clouds in the area.
Oh yeah, it was raining really hard. It looked like about 5 miles from here. Black, and you can see the rain, but it just stayed there.
That's a good thing.
Oh yeah, very good thing.
We had a little rain in last night's game, but it really didn't affect what was going on the field. They never did take the cover off the tarp. Back toward the mound, under the glove of Johnson. And Jason is retired to start the second. One away, and Raul Ibanez, once he gets the donut off his bat, will come to the plate. Raul was 1 for 4 in last night's ball game, and he hit a triple that drove in Ryan Howard for the Phillies' first run in their last 30 innings. See what he's done against Josh Johnson during his career.
Wasn't up here with you guys in that habit. Look, looked like Maven took a funny route to that, and the ball skidded.
Yeah, the wet turf seemed to cause that ball just to fly right on by him. But I agree with you. He probably didn't go at it. His angle wasn't that great.
Well, here it is.
So you decide.
Yeah, it's hard to tell at that point where it picks it up where he started, but the ball did hit that wet, and that's fast turf here anyway. And when it hit it, it scooted. It almost looked like AstroTurf.
Roll goes the opposite way with that one. That's pretty well hit. Coughlin going back has room and makes the catch. Pretty well hit, but it was down toward the end of the bat. And they're 2 away.
Here's a look at it. And Johnson, much like Halladay, has great movement on his pitches. Tom said that hit down near the end of the bat, and he really didn't drive it.
Well, that'll bring Juan Castro to the plate. Castro played as a defensive replacement in last night's ball game, and he's playing third base tonight. Charlie Manuel was asked before the ball game about Castro playing third tonight instead of Greg Dobbs. He said, well, Castro can play third. He said he is a utility man, isn't he? And that was the design, was to have Castro come in and, you know, play some short, maybe play some second, and also play some third.
One thing about when you bring a guy in and call him your utility infielder, he has to be able to do one thing: play shortstop, because that's the hardest position to play. Now, you take for granted they can play third and second and help you out there, if they can, but they have to be able to play short. And Phillies are very lucky that they have 2 guys that can do that in Castro and Valdez.
Opposite way. That's a fair ball by Castro, just inside the first base bag, and he'll get to second. That's the second double of the night for the Phils against Johnson.
A lot of triples in this ballpark down in that area. Now, Castro doesn't run very well, so he wasn't going to be a guy to get one. But it's 345 down the line with kind of a goofy corner. The ball shoots around that corner, and you will see triples down there. Here's just kind of a late swing at a fastball, and zip right inside the bag. Right there, a fair ball. And on it quickly was Cody Ross to get it back in.
So a runner in scoring position for the Phillies, their second one of the night. And Carlos Ruiz takes a pitch on the black, and it's 0-1.
You see what they're doing right here. They're not going to walk him and turn the order over here in the second inning, because they figure there's a reason a guy's hitting 8. Go get him.
Roy Halladay waits on deck. You see what Carlos has done in his last 28 at bats. He's 3 for his last 28.
One thing Carlos was doing when he was going well offensively was walking a lot in this 8-hole.
Freddie Gonzalez decides not to walk him intentionally. There's a broken back ground ball toward the middle, backhanded by Ugla. One hop throw, not in time. Infield single for Ruiz. Over to third goes Castro. Boy, that ball could have just snuck on through. The Phillies would have had a run, but Ugla did a nice job getting to that ball. It wasn't that hard.
Right, Ugla's main concern there is to make sure the ball doesn't get through so the run scores. And then he saw he had a chance at an out, so he bounced it over there and almost got Ruiz. Here's a look at it. Ugla's really improved as a second baseman. Makes a real nice play there. Carlos obviously safe, but when it went up the middle, you thought, you know, maybe it can trickle through.
So Castro leads off third. Ruiz leads off first. Roy Halladay the batter, and a swing and a miss, and it's 0-1.
Roy Halladay's trying to find his way a little bit in the National League offensively, and it's going to be tough. And look out over that first base dugout if he makes contact.
4 for 33 this year at the plate. And he's behind, no balls and 2 strikes.
Listen, he hasn't seen cheese like this in the National League so far. I mean, obviously in his career, and I'm sure he's seen guys throw like Johnson, but there aren't many.
Right, thinking last time out I saw a knuckleballer. That was a little different. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, well, the Angels have scored 4 in the bottom of the 10th on a grand slam by Kendry Morales, and have defeated the Mariners 5-1. Swing and a miss, and Halladay is down on strikes, and Josh Johnson strands another one over at third. He picks up his first strikeout. Phillies strand 2. We go to the bottom of the second in a scoreless game. Bottom of the second, scoreless ball game. Phillies have had some base runners. In fact, they've had a couple of runners over to third. And youngsters not only hoping for a Phillies win, but also a souvenir. They know that the warm-ups are about to end for Roy Halladay, and they're thinking maybe there's a ball coming in from the infielders that somebody will toss up into the stands. Halladay in the first struck out 2, but he threw 19 pitches. And now he'll go to work against 4, 5, and 6. Still looking, still looking. Nope, doesn't look like they're going to get one.
Not all right, not this time. Keep giving the players those mournful looks. Sooner or later, you might get one.
Gonna stand up, show your jersey.
Yeah.
Jorge Cantu leads it off, and he'll take a breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1. Cantu's 5 for 15 on this homestand for the Marlins, which included the series against the Braves. And he has seen Roy Halladay before. And in fact, he's 3 for 17 against him, as you just saw.
And he was with the Rays for a number of years, playing in the same division with the Toronto Blue Jays.
And he does come into this ball game with a 6-game hitting streak.
See, Halladay doesn't throw many fastballs, at least in this at bat, and that's knowing your opponent, because Cantu is such a good fastball hitter. Doesn't mean you won't throw him one. They're going to go with another breaking ball here.
That one just missed off the outside corner. It's 3-1.
There's a cutter.
And he came back with a fastball.
Yeah, another cutter. The same thing. He's not throwing anything straight to Cantu so far. So Carlos Ruiz twice put down 3, and that must be 3 for cutter for Halladay. Sometimes 3 means slider.
And a swing and a foul tip into the glove of Ruiz. 3rd strikeout for Halladay.
That was a fastball.
So 1 away here in the bottom of the second.
There you go. This is a little four-seamer right there. And he throws it by him after all that stuff with a lot of movement. He went up a little bit on Cantu and got him to chase.
Halladay comes into this game 5th in the National League in earned run average. His ERA is at 2.18. Josh Johnson, well, is right behind Roy Halladay. In fact, he's 9th in the National League in earned run average. The leader is Ubaldo Jimenez at 0.88.
Halladay does not have real command of his breaking ball. There you see Josh Johnson. You can't help but notice him wiping his hand on his pants a lot and going to the rosin bag because there's just so much moisture here. There he goes again. Almost every pitch he goes and he wipes his hand, and he's been back to the rosin bag quite a bit.
A curveball in there for strike 2. 1-2. Dan Uggla's tied for the league lead in home runs with 12. Swing and a miss and another curve. And that is the 4th strikeout for Halladay.
Another great fastball hitter in Dan Uggla, and he wasn't going to see them.
After the game, get all the highlights from tonight's game, plus expert analysis from former Philly Ricky Metallico on Phillies Postgame Live, presented by Sloan Toyota, right here on Comcast Sportsnet. I would think Ricky is loving this matchup between Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay, particularly when Halladay is delivering like this.
Well, it's another curveball, and he threw Uggla a couple of them, and they were the best curveballs he's thrown so far.
There's Cody Ross, who whacks the first pitch from Halladay to third. Castro throws across the diamond. And Halladay needed that. A 1-pitch at bat by Cody Ross. 2 strikeouts and a ground out. He's retired the first 6. We go to the third. 0-0. Oh, Wheels, your friend Shabaka's at the ballpark, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for the Dodge Stuff the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fan forums section for all the information. And please submit your answer on the subject line. The question is, can you name the athlete who played for a World Series and an NBA championship in the 1950s?
Probably not.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll find out in the 7th inning. It's got to be hot in that Chewbacca uniform.
What's a Chewbacca?
Did you ever see Star Wars?
No. Sorry.
Well, it's kind of a cult movie. Not many people saw it.
No, I think a lot of people saw it. I think I would probably be in the minority.
Jay Victorino leads things
Sorry.
off. We will get you the Star Wars gift pack for Christmas this year. We'll get it in Blu-ray. It would be great with that surround sound.
I have a feeling I have it at home.
Victorino skies it. Left center field. Cameron Maben calls off Chris Coughlin. And there's one out here in the 3rd.
Well, if that had been somebody in a Davy Crockett outfit, I'd have known it.
Right, and then you would have been in the minority about that,
right,
too.
I said that was Fess Parker. You know he just died?
I didn't know he just passed away.
Yes, unfortunately, Fess did. Born on a mountaintop in Tennessee.
Did he die on the mountaintop in Tennessee?
I don't know. I can't go that far for you.
Probably died in the Hollywood Hills.
Probably.
Wilson Valdez doubled his first time up. And he takes a fastball in. 1 ball and no strikes. Phillies have 2 doubles tonight against Josh Johnson, who surprisingly went through his entire game last time out without a strikeout. This guy is averaging a strikeout per inning, and he didn't have one his last time.
That is surprising, and he threw 93 pitches without a strikeout. That's hard to do, even in an American League park and an American League game the way that he did, because he pitched that game Sunday in Chicago.
And there's his line from that ball game, and yes, he did get the win as the Marlins defeated the White Sox, as Valdez lines one to center, and he's going to have his 2nd base hit of the night. Well, speaking of the American League Central, the Cleveland Indians are going to be in Philadelphia Tuesday, June 22nd at 7:05 for a 3-game series. 2 night games and a day game. See a couple former Phils on that roster, including Lou Marson, Jason Donald. Order your tickets now by logging on to Phillies.com. There might have been a time where we would have told you, come see the Indians. You'll see CC Sabathia. You'll see Cliff Lee. They have kind of broken that team up that was pretty successful and in the postseason just a few years ago. Chase grounded out his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Toss over, and Valdez back standing. Josh Johnson is one of 2 Marlins players that the Marlins front office has really locked up for the future and have locked up for their new ballpark in 2012. The first was Hanley Ramirez, and then Johnson this past offseason signed a 4-year $39 million contract that is guaranteed. There's a lot of speculation that he would eventually leave the Marlins sooner rather than later, but Jeffrey Loria, who's the owner of the Marlins, who you see right there, and his front office staff decided that they needed a foundation to go into that new ballpark and a foundation in their rotation, and this guy is a mighty big foundation. And he fires a fastball for a strike to Chase.
Well, he's a true #1 pitcher, that's for sure. And you see winning percentage for Marlins career leaders Josh Johnson.
Not even close.
Right there, and he has tremendous numbers here in this ballpark.
He's 4-0 with an ERA of 1.80 in his last 6 starts here at this ballpark, and that's just the beginning. Freddie Gonzalez had a great quote not only about Josh Johnson but also about Roy Halladay. He said, 2 guys who have a great work ethic. As Chase bounces it foul, just foul.
Yeah, you don't get this good by just showing up. You know, they obviously both have tremendous talent. There's Freddie, who Tom's talking about, their manager, and Roy Halladay. They're gifted with tremendous natural ability, but to do the things they do And to be as superior as they are, you have to do more, and they do.
Well, he went on to say, I don't know if there is a thing called an ace mentality, but I know that Josh and Roy Halladay's preparation is second to none. I think you either learn to work hard or born with it. And I think these two guys were born with it. Valdez goes, and Utley pulls it foul.
Good time to run. You know, a lot of that has to do with Davey Lopes, and there's Charlie checking that stopwatch out there. Davey Lopes and Wilson Valdez talking about it. But also with 2 strikes on Utley, you know, they also think, hey, he may throw something in the dirt here. He may throw a breaking ball of some kind. You know, and even if Utley strikes out, we'll be at second with 2 outs.
See, the opposition's been caught 5 times trying to steal against Johnson. And I think that's partly because they didn't get something soft. They got a real good fastball, and it gave Ronnie Paulino and John Baker and Brett Hayes a good pitch to throw on.
Well, they just got a throw over. You saw the pinky go towards first base. They got a throw over after Valdez ran.
Valdez doesn't go, and Chase takes a fastball wide, 2-2.
Yeah, that's a great pitch for the pitcher to throw, and the catcher. It's almost like a pitch out if he had gone there, and that's the opposite of getting the breaking ball. Now, you know, you can put in his mind that the guy was going to go, so we don't want to throw a breaking ball there, something slow. We're going to throw a fastball. So you can do 2 things by a runner being in motion like that.
Valdez doesn't go again, and Chase floats it towards center. Maben may have misjudged it. He did. It's off his glove, and that's going to go back to the warning track. Valdez speeding around third. He's heading for home. Utley's going to be at third base standing, and the Phillies take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, you could see he was in trouble on that ball, and then it looked like he had recovered because he's so tall, and he did get a lot of leather on it, and then kicked it behind him, or knocked it behind him when he hits it with a glove, which we'll probably see. But Utley fooled him a little bit because he lunges at this. Watch him lunge with one hand, and he's thinking, well, that didn't hit that hard, and then it's like, oh no, and right there it clanks off the glove. Watch how much glove that hits. Right there, he almost caught it, and he actually kind of forced it behind him.
Well, they're going to score that a 3-base error for Cameron Maben, and the Phillies will take it.
You know, you see a guy take a swing like that, and they're going to walk Ryan Howard here. You see a guy take a swing like Utley just hit, and you're the outfielder, and it's hit right at you. Your first reaction has to do what he did, and that's break in, because you see it's like a one-handed swing. You think he's dunking it in front of me, and I don't want that guy to get to third who's on first base. And then all of a sudden, Utley, as strong as he is, whatever he did with that, he got some backspin on it and took off.
Really did carry pretty well, and that is the 40th error of the year for the Marlins. And no major league team has committed more errors than Florida. It's the second one for Maben. And there's intentional ball 4 to Ryan Howard. And this inning's still alive. Phillies have runners on first and third.
Well, the reason he walked Ryan Howard right there is he's trying to get a strikeout and to prevent a fly ball, and figured Josh Johnson's chances to strike out Worth are better than to strike out Ryan Howard. I mean, that's the only reason why you would do that. And the other reason is you're playing to the opposition's pitcher right now, Roy Halladay, so you're doing everything you can not to give up runs.
Well, the Marlins will set up a double play depth with runners on first and third, and 1 away for Jason, and he takes a fastball for strike 1. Jason came into the game 10th in the league in hitting at .309, but did have an off day yesterday because Charlie just felt like he was lunging a little too much and needed a day just to clear his head. He did eventually come in to play right field. He got 1 at bat.
He's been hitting a lot of fly balls along with the strikeouts, and fly ball here would be just fine.
1-1 the count to Jason. And he lays off a breaking ball, and it's 2-1.
Well, if they'll hand you 2 runs, and with a guy like Josh Johnson on the mound, you got to get him. And nobody knows that more than Jason Worth right now, trying to grind out this at bat and get that runner in from third.
Jason, Ryan Howard, and Shane Victorino all tied for the team lead in RBIs with 33. Off the outside corner, 3-2.
I don't think you run here because Jason Worth isn't a guy who grounds into double plays. He's more likely to strike out into one.
Ryan does not have a big lead off first. He doesn't go, and a swing and a miss. 2 outs. That is the second strikeout for Johnson. That's just a little cheese right here.
Well, and that's why Freddie Gonzalez did what he did, walking Ryan Howard, because he wanted his best chance for a strikeout to prevent a sacrifice fly for that second run, and they got the strikeout on a 95 fastball.
Phillies have gotten a run in this inning. As it turns out, it's an unearned run, but they got a run nonetheless. And they've got another runner at third for the 3rd straight inning.
Yeah, this inning was the first time they got somebody to third with less than 2 outs. And now they got him over there with 2 outs again.
No balls, 1 strike to count to Ibanez. Raul, who is from the Miami area, went to high school here, lives here, went to college here, to Miami-Dade. If he wasn't drafted, then he probably would have went to the University of Miami to play some college baseball. And he lays off the fastball on the outside corner at 96, and it's 1-2.
That's a gift. Throw 96 on the corners. That's special.
And a swing and a miss at a breaking ball. And Ibanez is strikeout victim number 3 for Josh Johnson. But the Phillies get a break on a ball hit by Chase Utley off the glove of Cameron Maben. Back to the warning track, and that gives Wilson Valdez plenty of time to score the game's only run. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. By Xfinity. It's TV, phone, and internet reinvented from Comcast. By Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEF-NOW. And by your Quality Plus Ford dealers. A beautiful sunset here in South Florida. And it is gorgeous right now. And the Phillies lead at 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Roy Halladay will face the bottom 3rd of the order. Brett Hayes, Cameron Maben, and Josh Johnson. Hayes, who was called up from AAA to replace John Baker, who was put on the disabled list. He was hitting just .220 in the minor leagues with a home run. He is hitting .286 here in the big leagues. And that one's off the end of the bat. A soft pop up right toward Chase Utley. And 1 out here in the 3rd. You know, it's pretty special to be a major league pitcher, which obviously Roy Halladay and Josh Johnson both are. But to not only be a major league pitcher, but to be a number 1 on whatever team you play on. And that means that you get a chance to pitch in all the big games, but you also get a chance to pitch a lot of times against the other team's number 1 pitcher. And Roy Halladay has done that throughout his career.
I was watching the other day when they were playing the Mets, and he evidently has been matched up with Santana quite a few times. And that's a one-on-one.
Maben hits it in the air to right center field. Shane Victorino got a late start, but Jason Worth is there, and Victorino crosses behind him to make the catch. Worth just let it go by because he heard Shane calling. 2 outs. Usually the bigger of the 2 outfielders will stay there and make the grab. Whoop. Wow,
that was cool.
That was clean shaven right there. Two outs for Josh Johnson. Pretty good hitter.
Oh yeah, this guy, you know, Roy Halladay, you know, should be able to handle him, but this guy can hit mediocre pitching, that's for sure. He hit some homers.
3 home runs in his career. They came in 1 season.
He went to dead center in this place. That is deep.
2-0 the count.
Well, guys, they got to put an elbow pad on him because he's a right-handed pitcher.
Last year, Roy Halladay matched up against the other team's #1 a number of times when he faced the Yankees or faced the Red Sox. He would, from time to time, face Andy Pettitte, CC Sabathia for the Yankees, John Lester, Josh Beckett for the Red Sox, and it was staggering the number of times he either pitched a complete game or pitched into the 8th inning of those games. And he gets Johnson swinging on strikes for his 5th strikeout. He's faced 9. He's retired all 9 so far. We go to the 4th inning here in South Florida. It's the Phils 1, the Marlins 0. Tuesday, July 6th at 7:05, the Phils and the Atlanta Braves will get together as part of a 3-game series, and it's also a Charlie Manuel Louisville Slugger free to fans 14 and under. Compliments of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 98. Order your tickets now by logging on to Phillies.com. Well, Charlie Manuel, that day when he was swinging that bat, he was loving it. Has a signature on the top of it, and he's probably loving what he sees from Roy Halladay so far. His team leads it 1-0 as we go to the top of the 4th. In the bottom 3rd of this order, we'll see if they can get something cooking again against Josh Johnson. Gary Matthews joins us here in the booth. And Sarge, is a player, when both teams' #1s were scheduled to go at it, what does that mean as a player, like a left fielder like yourself?
Well, you're looking forward to it, to say the least, and hoping that you can do something to win the ball game for it.
I guess in a game like this, if you score 1 run, there's a sigh of relief that, all right, we got, we got the run first. Let's see what we can do to tack on a little bit.
Well, that's what you'd like to do. You want to be able to add on and to pick up easy RBIs. They had a situation with Jason Worth up there, less than 1 out, runner on 3rd base. You want to make contact. Freddie Gonzalez elected to walk Ryan Howard, and it paid off for him.
Well, 1-2 the count to Josh Johnson. We just don't see it that often, Sarge. I mean, we think we do, #1 against #1, but as the season goes on, it doesn't really happen that often.
No, it really doesn't, except for maybe the first time of the year. But a lot of times, though, when they hook up those #1s, you're excited about it. You're thinking about it. I know when Steve Carlton pitched, and maybe we were facing a Tom Seaver, you were ready to go.
Juan Castro to center field. Cameron Maybin, who misjudged one earlier, was able to make the catch on that one. One away.
A solid little contact there. Now, he did lose his feet just a little bit, but recovered on that one. That one not carrying as much.
Here's Carlos. Carlos had an infield single his first time up, 2nd into the series. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. I don't know how Steve Carlton was the day of or the day before a start. I know he was a very intense individual, but we've said this before, as Ruiz drills one to left field, boom, right off the wall. He may get a long single out of that one, if for the only reason being that he hit it so hard.
Well, that ball hit like a bullet off the wall.
Right above that, I think right above the 0, the second 0 in 2003.
Well, that's the kind of sound that you like. Line drives coming off of his bat. That ball there hit just like a bullet. He's short, compact. Hear that sound, and outfielder just going to turn around.
Right, Halladay, who does not have a sacrifice bunt this year, tries to sacrifice Ruiz up to second, misses the first pitch. Anyway, if you used to walk by Steve Carlton, I'm not sure what he said the day before or the day of games. You walk by Roy Halladay, and it is tunnel vision the day of a game.
Yeah, Steve Carlton wasn't a good guy to talk to or ask anything the day he was pitching.
0-2 the count to Halladay.
And well known. I mean, if he drops something, just keep walking. He'll get it himself. You just don't want to even have eye contact with him. You put him on that mound, and he means business, and he had a great chance of winning the ball game.
Halladay pulls back. It's 1-2. So 1-2 the count to Josh Johnson. I guess that's okay though, Sarge, if the pitcher is that good, if he's that prepared and is looking forward for the task at hand, you kind of let him be a little quiet.
Well, you let them be a little quiet, and they're a little more temperamental than most.
Halladay misses that one, and he's down on strikes. 2 outs. So 2 away with a runner at first and back to the top of the order. And Roy still looking for that first sacrifice bunt. Now Josh Johnson is a little different. He's intense, but you know, he talks a little bit more on the day of a game. Greg Maddux used to talk all the time on the day of a game, didn't he?
Greg well, didn't really talk a whole lot. John Montefusco, the Count, used to talk all the time. I mean, he would actually go to the batting cage when the opposition was hitting and tell him that he was going to strike him out. He did that against the Phillies, as a matter of fact. And this was on that team. Greg Lazinski was on the team. Schmidt was on the team.
Off speed pitch for a strike. It's 1-1 to Victorino, who's 0 for 2. I find that surprising that a pitcher of the day he would pitch would do that.
Oh, he would. And he'd come in and say, hey guys, all I need is 1 today. And that would work at times.
I was going to say, did you believe him?
Sometimes, yeah. He said it against the Big Red Machine, and we had to hold on for a 10-9 victory. Guess he needed more than that 1 run.
Maybe he meant he only needed a 1-run lead.
That's exactly right.
1 ball, 1 strike the count to Victorino. And he pops it up. Almost the same spot that he hit the ball in the first inning. Cantu, though, this time makes the call and makes the catch. Phillies do get a 1-out base hit by Carlos Ruiz. He's stranded at first. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's 1-0 Phils. Phillies baseball is brought to you by WB Mason. Who but WB Mason for amazingly low office product prices. By Suzuki and the amazing Kizashi Sports Sedan. By Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. And by Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Phillies. Last of the 4th, Phillies lead at 1-0. They've had base runners against Josh Johnson. The same cannot be said for the Florida Marlins, as Roy Halladay has struck out 5 through the first 3 innings. And after throwing 19 pitches in the first inning, well, he has thrown just 21 in the last 2. And he'll begin against the top of the order, Chris Coughlin. He struck out looking his first time up. And the first pitch is on the outside corner for a strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah, Roy Halladay talked about hitting his spots and saying it didn't matter how many pitches he threw. He just wasn't hitting his spots in the other games.
Towards second base. Chase stays down on it. 1 away. Email, text, Twitter, and Facebook. 24/7 CSNPhilly.com is your best source for the latest news on Phillies teams. When and where you want it, be the first to know. Text alerts to 53695 or sign up for alerts at CSNPhilly.com. Well, tonight you can not only get your Phillies alerts, but you also can get your Flyers alerts. As game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks is scheduled for today. Gabby Sanchez pops the first pitch foul just in front of us and out of play. I would think there are a number of Phillies fans / Flyer fans who will be getting their alerts here at the ballpark. That gentleman. Sanchez struck out swinging his first time up. And the count is even 1 ball and 1 strike.
Did you happen to get one of the giveaways today?
I did not get a tambourine. I did see one last night towards center field. Victorino moves back a few steps, 2 away. I have to admit, like you, I've seen a number of giveaways over the years. I don't think I've ever seen a tambourine giveaway, Sarge.
Well, likewise, and might be one of the giveaways that we could actually give away, if you will. I mean, come on. Remember the one time they had those rattlers and they were hitting them both together and making all of that noise?
You mean the Thunder Sticks?
Thunder Sticks?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Well, this is as bad as the Thunder Sticks. And
you don't think these folks are going to go home and use these use the tambourines at any point?
oh,
Ramirez grounded out his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Well, they certainly come in handy at a ballpark. Well, if you don't like the tambourines and the way they sound or the thundersticks, then you would not have played very well over in Japan.
No. Maybe not. I mean, the tambourines, the sticks, I think, were very annoying.
2-1 the count to Ramirez.
Surprised Wills hadn't said anything about these
Well, he
tambourines.
mentioned them. No, he mentioned them.
I was going to say that, you know, he doesn't like noise. So, I mean, I know it had to irritate him some.
Well, there's a big concert after the ball game tonight. This is a Super Saturday at the ballpark. Good breaking ball. 2-2 the count to Ramirez. So those tambourines are probably in honor of the concert that will take place.
Well, what a great pitch. Just late break on the cutter. Late of the break. Better for the pitcher because it fools the hitter.
Pop up. Right side. Foul territory. Howard is over. Does he have room? And he runs out of room. So 2-2 the count. Guy has a ball, a glove, and a tambourine. So your thought is, what's wrong with this picture? It's a foul ball into the Phillies bullpen. Nobody seemed to be that interested in getting up for it in the Phillies bullpen.
Yeah, as long as it's not going their way. Gets that foot down. You see how he gets the foot down? And those guys with that high leg kick, they have to get the foot down to be consistent and to make sure that they're driving the ball. If you don't, you'll pop it up the way Victorino's been doing.
And a called strike 3. 93 right at the knees. It's a 1-2-3 fourth inning for Roy Halladay. He is dealing tonight, folks. 6 strikeouts for Halladay. He has faced 12. He's retired all 12. Wilson Valdez will lead it off in the 5th. Hatfield Dollar Dog Nights are back at the ballpark, as everybody knows. Our next one will be Monday, June 7th, when the Padres are in town. Then Monday, July 5th, in honor of Sarge's birthday, it's when the Braves are in town. The Hatfield Dollar Dog Nights at the ballpark. You can log on to Phillies.com to make your purchase today. Go to the top of the 5th. Wilson Valdez leads it off. He's 2 for 2. He has scored the only run for the Phillies. Sarge, before the ball game, Charlie Emanuel was talking about Wilson Valdez being at the top of the order, and he said, well, you know, he's a 300 hitter in the minor leagues, and then Wilson said, I used to be at the top of the order in the minors. Does it carry over the same concepts?
No, because different hitters will hit different places once they get to the major leagues. You'll have guys that might hit third and good hitters that will be a leadoff hitter or hit maybe further back in that lineup. But I will say Valdez has been holding his own. I mean, just not swinging and missing. He's got a little decent idea at the plate, and he squared some balls up.
So he's swinging with a lot of confidence too.
No doubt about it. You can hit a guy like this Johnson. That will give you really a lot of confidence to hit against other pitchers. You hit the best. The mediocre guys, you think you ought to get maybe 2 or 3 hits off of.
Valdez is down on strikes. One away here in the 5th inning. Well, both starting pitchers have been really good tonight. It's just a 1-0 game.
Yeah, when they're around the plate, that's what's going to happen. And this is just paint. Both those guys are doing. We talked about that early in the open here today. Both pitchers around the plate, cutters they're throwing. That's the two-seamer. has everybody shaking their head in the ballpark.
Well, I got 11 strikeouts between the two, 5 hits for the Phillies, none so far for the Marlins. And here's Chase Utley with 1 out in the 5th. The big difference tonight is the number of pitches that have been thrown by the two starters. Josh Johnson, with 1 out here in the top of the 5th, has thrown 81 pitches. Meanwhile, Roy Halladay has thrown just 52 pitches.
And you're trying to work the count just to make sure you can get the pitch count up on Johnson.
Utley's 0 for 2, but his last at bat was the ball that glanced off the glove of Cameron Maybin in center that led to the lone run in this game.
Now, he hit that ball awful hard there to center field and just took off on him.
Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2.
That's a cutter, throws that ball in. Very good cutter. That's as good as a lot of pitchers' fastball. Take a look at the line there.
There's 6 base runners between the 5 hits that the Phillies have and the 1 walk. Back toward the middle, behind the bag. Ramirez has got it. He had Utley shaded that way, so it turned out to be an easier play.
Yeah, I thought Johnson might have touched that ball there. Just seemed to slow down a little bit. Maybe not. He's throwing hard, throwing a heavy sinker. Now watch this. That ball goes right through, and no, he doesn't hit it. Goes through, and Ramirez makes an easy play out of it. Yeah, these are the type of pitchers you get the opportunity to score a run or be able to get one. You got to be able to do it some kind of way. Get that bat on the ball. You're facing guys like Drysdale, Gibson, Koufax. You don't get those opportunities very often during the course of the game.
Inside and low, 2-0 to Ryan Howard. I always marvel at why some of these pitchers like Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay, why they have trouble in that first inning or the second inning. You know, why are those the innings that you might be able to get some runs against them, and then they settle in and they're just firing? And
especially coming from the bullpen. I mean, you're already heated up and warmed up. You know, you should be really ready to go, but it takes them until maybe that 3rd, 4th inning they really start to heat up.
3-1 now to Ryan as he lays off the off-speed pitch from Johnson.
Yeah, that's the test for him, to be able to hit that outside part of the plate. Especially Ryan now, he's moved off the plate now. And that's a tough pitch if it's a fastball away, and this is coming in. Just tied him up on that swing, not a fluid swing. Johnson varying the speeds on his fastball from 88 to about 96, throwing a 2-seamer, a cutter. Comes over the top there, that 96, which is a straight one, a 4-seamer.
Toward left field. Coghlan headed back and makes the catch. The ball was sinking once it left the bat of Ryan Howard. It's a 1-2-3 5th inning for Josh Johnson. He's retired 5 in a row. We played 4.5. It's the Phillies 1, the Marlins nothing. Today's great fact about Citizens Bank Park is brought to you by the Green Sense program at Citizens Bank. To offset the carbon footprint created by the team's utility power usage, the Phillies have purchased 20 million kilowatt hours of green power. It's equivalent to the planting of 100,000 trees. With Green Sense at Citizens Bank, get paid 10 cents every time you pay without paper, up to $120 per year. Jorge Cantu leads off the bottom of the 5th. 1-0 Phillies. Cantu, 1 of 6 strikeouts for Roy Halladay tonight. On the hands towards second. Nice play by Utley to his left, 1 away. That ball kind of skidded to the left of Chase, and he stayed with it the whole time.
Yeah, and it is a fast infield, meaning when that ball hits on the turf, it almost acts as if it's AstroTurf because it speeds up. That's why you saw Chase actually getting over as quick as he could. Take a look at it now. He knows that ball, not even looking at it. He's getting over right away and makes a fine play of it.
There's Dan Uggla. Swing and a miss by Uggla. He struck out his first time up. Well, right now he's just confusing these hitters with what he's throwing.
Oh, got them all off balance. And a lot of the hitters of the day, they guess. So they're trying to guess along with Halladay.
Roy Halladay has faced these Marlins 3 times before. And you see his distribution of outs. An ERA of a little more than 3 runs per game. A 1-1 record during those outings. And included in that was the 8-inning performance he had against them earlier this season at Citizens Bank Park, which we showed you during the outset of our telecast. Last year with the Blue Jays when he faced the Marlins, he lasted only 3 innings on June 12th because in the 4th he left with a strained groin. And he's fallen behind 3-2 to Uggla.
Really pitching Uggla hard inside. He's another one of those second basemen in the league that has tremendous power.
And he stays alive with that foul ball. Uggla not only is another one of those second basemen. Since 2006, he has more home runs than any other second baseman. Just 5 more than Chase.
That's impressive.
Towards straightaway center field. Plenty of room out there. Grand Canyon of center fields and 2 outs now in the 5th. Look at the pitch count comparison. The only real rough inning for Halladay. Well, not the only real rough inning. The only long inning was that first.
Well, it makes a big difference too, though, when your fielders are catching the ball and even maybe making that error. You got to realize now Johnson has to throw more pitches to get another hitter out.
Well, we've seen that in Roy Halladay's last 5 starts. The Phillies as a team, and this isn't only when Halladay was in the game, but they've committed 10 errors in his last 5 starts. When he's in there, I believe it's 6 when he's out there.
Wow.
Cody Ross the batter, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Ross.
Boy, he is painting that outside part of the plate, and this is after setting up his pitches, coming inside, moving that batter off the plate, and then being able to paint on the outside part, coming in again.
Right in on the hands. He broke his bat. He got a little squib roller to Ryan Howard, who takes it to the bag himself. Another 1-2-3 inning for Roy Halladay. 5 innings, 5 1-2-3 innings. We go to the 6th. It's a 1-run game. Phillies lead at 1-0 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. It'll be Jason Worth, Raul Ibanez, and Juan Castro to start things off against Josh Johnson. Well, we said on paper during the outset of this game that this was a old-fashioned pitcher's duel. Well, it's not only old-fashioned, it is new-fashioned. I mean, it's everything that we anticipated. The Phillies scored their run on an error by the center fielder Cameron Maybin. They have 5 hits against Josh Johnson. Roy Halladay, meanwhile, has faced 15 batters. He's retired all 15. And he's going to stay hydrated as Jason Worth leads it off in the top of the 6th. And Jason is behind, no balls and 1 strike. Sarge, you and Milt Thompson are very good friends. You were a hitting coach for a number of years. You guys talk hitting all the time. When you look at Jason Worth, I mean, what do you see? What do you think Milt's seeing from Jason over the last few games?
Well, even on the pitch he just took, you can see he wasn't really having good balance. You know, and again, he likes his hands the way they are. I'd like to see him up a little bit more. And there's the pitch that he's been missing consistently, that fastball that is away. You know, again, when you're hitting, you got to have slow feet, but more importantly, you got to take that shoulder right toward the pitcher and not come off of it.
Swing and a miss, and Jason is struck out for the second time tonight. 6 strikeouts for Johnson. So he and Roy Halladay both have 6. Well, there's no doubt Milt has watched Jason for these last few years, and like every hitter, you get into ruts, and Jason gets into these little ruts, but he gets himself out of it.
Yeah, when you see that though, the ball's away, then he has a swing as if the ball is inside. You got to be going more to, especially he's been getting all those pitches away. So now you got to be thinking maybe up the middle if you can, and to right center.
Ibanez is 0 for 2. And on the outside corner with the first pitch. And it's 0-1 to Raul. Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There's that 95 again, reaching back. When you throw that ball 95 and you see it up there, now for a hitter, you said, okay, let me stay back or let me try and see the ball, and that's when you get that little off-speed pitch, and then you're thinking fastball trying to catch up to it.
Well, this is a guy in Josh Johnson who has been very comfortable here at this ballpark. Billy the Marlin has seen some very good games from Johnson during his career. Johnson did not have a very good spring. In fact, his terrible spring carried over to really his first 2 starts this year. But since those first 2 starts, his earned run average is 1.70. And when he was asked about those first 2 starts, he said, I'm not really sure why I was so bad, but I was bad at spring training, so it was kind of a carryover. But he said he used a couple of bullpen sessions with Randy St. Clair as pitching coach, his new pitching coach, and that kind of got him straightened out, and he's been on the straight and narrow ever since. Randy St. Clair, who was the longtime pitching coach for the Expos and the Nationals, took over from Mark Wiley at the start of this year. And he's been watching Josh Johnson from the other dugout the last few years, and I'm sure watching him from his own dugout is a whole lot better than watching him from the Nationals dugout.
Well, I got to tell you, this guy's an intimidator. 6'7" he stands on the mound, probably 250 plus, and I mean he is coming at you.
Back toward the middle, another base hit for Castro. He has 2 hits tonight.
Wow. Those are solid hits too, right up the middle.
Castro has 2 hits, Ruiz has 2 hits, and Valdez has 2 hits. Down and away, 1 ball and no strikes to Carlos. Carlos reached on an infield single his first time up. Then he went off the wall and left. That was just a long single because he hit it so hard. The fact that he has 3 hits in the first 2 games of this series, though, maybe that's a good sign that he's starting to round back into similar form of what he had the first 6 weeks of the season.
And you can almost tell with a hitter. He drove that ball. Good fastball by Johnson. He drove that in the left field. So he had to be able to get around it and see the ball well to do that. Well, Carlos, when he swings at those soft off-speed pitches going away, that's when he's having his problems. But he sits back, sees that ball there. He's pretty quick with the bat.
May sound strange, but that's not the worst thing in the world for him to take a strike there.
Oh, no, he's smart. He's working the count and making sure he's trying to get that pitch count up.
This is the 109th pitch of the night for Josh Johnson. And it's 3-1. There's Roy Halladay on deck.
Should be a predictable pitch, meaning fastball, but he's got to make sure it's in his location. where he wants it. And that would probably be middle in. Looked like the slider or the cutter.
Hits it hard on one hop to Ramirez. Flips backhand to second in time to get Castro. The inning is over. Phil Strand one. We go to the bottom of the sixth inning. This might be it for Josh Johnson. Well, that Phillies bullpen is enjoying what everybody else is enjoying tonight. Roy Halladay, who has not allowed a base runner through the first 5 innings tonight. He'll face the bottom third for the Marlins as we go to the bottom of the sixth inning. It'll be Brett Hayes, Cameron Maybin, and then the pitcher spot. And Tim Wood has just started to loosen up in the bullpen for the Marlins. Josh Johnson over 100 pitches through 6. Brett Hayes popped out softly to Chase Utley his first time up, 0 for 1. And he takes a breaking ball for strike one. It's 0-1. All of his pitches tonight, Sarge, are around the plate.
Yeah, he's established that little strike zone low and away on the outside part of the plate.
That's a foul ball into the seats over the Phillies bullpen. It's 0-2.
That's what a pitcher should do. I mean, you throw a ball that you think might be questionable and you're getting that call, well, you can go back to the well on that. He's established that he's going to call that ball low and away.
No 2 pitch to Hayes. Swing and a miss. He got him on a changeup. Ruiz will fire to first. Another strikeout for Halladay. That's number 7. Well, this has been really impressive tonight. 1 out in the 6th inning.
Now, this looked to be an off-speed pitch. Throws it right in the dirt. Might be that split that he throws. It did tumble down.
Well, with 1 out, here's Maybin, who fly to center his first time up. 0 for 1. And he's showing bunt. And he takes it for a ball. He's been working on his bunting. There's Josh Johnson. He's going to grab a bat and come in the on-deck circle.
Well, he's not the worst hitter in the world to have at the plate.
If he's going to bunt, you mean?
No, Josh Johnson.
Oh, yeah. That's true. He could be better than some of their pinch hitters.
Well, 3 home runs in his short career and driven in 19 runs.
2-0 the count to Maybin. And a swing and a miss. He swung right over top of that ball. It was moving every which way. It's 2-1.
Yeah, that's that mechanical swing that they developed on the tee there. That ball away. He didn't even venture to go that way. He's just kind of swinging in that area, if you will.
Showing bunt again. It's 3-1. He was working on his bunting with Dave Collins before the ball game.
Dave Collins, first base coach, responsible for the bunting, the outfield, and base running.
This guy was a real good base stealer during his career with the Cincinnati Reds. And he could bunt, too.
Oh, boy.
Towards shortstop. This could be a tough play because of Maybin's speed. Valdez hurries in time to get Cameron Maybin. 6-3 on the putout, 2 away.
Oh, boy, that was a test. But again, we talked about it before. Valdez has a very strong arm. He can go into the hole. Not a big guy at all. He goes into the hole. He's got something to throw with.
2 outs for Josh Johnson. Tim Wood is sat down in the bullpen for the Marlins. Johnson struck out his first time up, and he takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-1.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And there's Valdez in that arm of his, and he did get him.
In the air to left field, right at Raul Ibanez. He's under it, makes the catch. Roy Halladay has faced 18. He's retired all 18 tonight here at Sun Life Stadium. The Phillies will take a 1-0 lead into the 7th inning.
Well, time now for the Verizon Wireless Game Summary here from Sun Life Stadium. It's a smoking hot night, and then you see Valdez scored on that 3-base error by Cameron Maybin. Josh Johnson is still in the ball game. Roy Halladay can't get any better, and he's been here tonight. And you see Valdez, Castro, and Ruiz. That's what you would expect. You know, when you wrote that lineup out tonight, the Charlie Manuel, that you get 6 hits from those guys.
Well, Halladay will lead it off here in the 7th inning, and as Will said, Josh Johnson remains out there. Johnson thrown 110 pitches. And his first pitch here in the top of the 7th is a fastball inside, 1-0.
Yeah, Halladay to this point 74.
74 pitches so far. He has struck out 7 batters. Halladay has.
Well, you could see he was really good early in the game. He ran some deep counts, but he had great stuff right out of the chute tonight.
Down and away, 2-1 the count. Josh Johnson, the most pitches he's thrown in a game this year is 117. This is a guy who is coming off Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago.
And they're extending him tonight, although they do have Tankersley up now, the left-hander.
Chopper right side. Gabby Sanchez has it. Johnson covers, and Halladay's retired. Time now for a Coors Light freeze can. The Phillies have 1 run tonight, and that 1 run scored in the 3rd on this ball hit by Chase Utley. Cameron Maben misjudged it, and that is what happened initially, and he couldn't hang on, and it rolled all the way back to the warning track, and Wilson Valdez scored.
Well, that was a great shot on that freeze can.
Sure was.
See how that thing was right in the webbing of the glove when he went to squeeze it or whatever happened. Maybe he was bouncing, his feet were bouncing, and it just went right out of the glove.
Shane Victorino takes the first pitch from Johnson inside. It's 1-0. There's Taylor Tankersley, who pitched in last night's ball game.
Now he's the left-hander out of the pen now. Pinto is on the DL because you used to see him a lot. Looks like they're giving him 2 more batters for sure. You know, you have a right-handed hitter on deck in Valdez, even though he's hitting tonight. Then the left-handers come along.
Mentioned that Josh Johnson is coming off Tommy John surgery as Victorino holds a swing, according to the third base umpire Bill Welke. You know, since he had that Tommy John surgery and recouped and came back, he is 27-7.
Yeah, he's been better.
That one's hit hard. A base hit for Victorino. A good hitters count, and he was able to drill it into right for a 1-out single. Phillies baseball is brought to you by your participating Philadelphia area Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDealer.com. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by Toyota. Toyota's national sales event is going on now. Hurry into your Toyota dealer today. Outside Sun Life Stadium on a warm night. And Wilson Valdez is the batter. You know, the thing about Johnson, he's thrown 120. This will be 121 pitches. But he is still in the mid-90s with his fastball.
Oh, yeah. You know, he's a big-time pitcher. We talked about what a horse he is, but you figure this is it. With the left-handed hitters coming in, Utley and Howard, and the left-hander Tankersley up, this is the last hitter I would imagine.
Valdez is 2 for 3. And a chopper back toward the middle. Could be 2. Ugla steps on the bag. An easy double play. Josh Johnson faces just this one last batter and gets a double play ball. So he's through 7. It's time to stretch here at Sun Life Stadium. A 1-0 game with Roy Halladay having the lead. Time now for the Dodge Stump the Fans trivia quiz answer. Wheels, can you name the athlete who played for a World Series and an NBA championship in the 1950s?
No, but I got a few texts from friends, so I'm going to throw one of theirs out there. Gene Conley.
Gene Conley would be correct.
Wow.
57 Braves, 58-59 Celtics.
I just want you to know I didn't know that. But
nice
Gene
to have
Conley,
friends, though, Wheels.
Yeah, Gene Conley did pitch for the Phillies, of course. There you see with the Milwaukee Braves and the Boston Celtics, and he pitched for the Phillies for several years.
Chris Coughlin leads it off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And
Phillies had another NBA player pitch for them, of course, who did a great job, and that was Ron Reed.
Ron Reed. Gene Conley won 91 games during his career.
He was tall.
He stood 6'8", 225 pounds.
Oh, yeah, he's a big pitcher.
2-1 to Coughlin. Waved at and missed. It's 2-2. Coughlin is 0 for 2. He has struck out and he's grounded out.
1959 and 1960 in the Phillies uniform.
8 games in 1960 with the Phillies. 2-2 the count to Coghlan. On the outside corner, called strike 3. Coghlan didn't like that pitch in the first inning, and he doesn't like it here in the 7th inning. But it's the 8th strikeout for Halladay.
You can see Demure had a big plate from the beginning of this game tonight, and that could be good for 2 tremendous pitchers like are out there in Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay. And as Tom said, the first inning, he had that same fastball called for a strike on the outside corner. He didn't agree with it then. He doesn't agree with it now, but he's gone twice.
8 strikeouts for Halladay. Gabby Sanchez takes a hook inside. It's 1-0. Sanchez is 0 for 2. We've been saying that a lot tonight. 0 for this, 0 for that. He has struck out and he's popped out. Toward third base, a foul ball. Pop up to the right of home plate. It looks playable for the time being. Ruiz trying to track it, and it's back into the seats. And it's 1-2. Hey, a great item for all Phillies fans. It's called Phillies, an Extraordinary Tradition. It's a hardcover coffee table book. It's a definitive pictorial history of the Phillies, featuring over 400 photos plus rare pieces of memorabilia and original essays from Phillies stars past and present. Call 877-GO-PHIL. Stop by the Majestic Clubhouse store or get it online in the fans section at Phillies.com. The 1-2 pitch to Sanchez. Again hit foul. Sanchez is riding a 5-game hitting streak after getting a hit in 4 at-bats last night. Josh Johnson went 7 innings tonight, or has gone 7. He's allowed 7 hits and 1 unearned run. He's been outdueled by Roy Halladay. And it's 3-2 to Gabby Sanchez. There's Clay Hensley, pretty good right-handed pitcher who's loosening up in the pen for the Marlins. Josh Johnson, who said before the ball game, I think the key tonight is to not change anything that you're supposed to do. Toward left field. Pretty well hit, but playable for Ibanez. 2 outs here in the 7th inning.
Somebody just threw a 3-2 curveball in this situation.
Well, what did he say? The first start that he made?
Right.
That he throws his curve. It's his jam pitch.
And it's a jam and surprise pitch. And you want to see a hitter who was surprised? Watch this. Watch Gabby Sanchez kind of double pump on this. Like, oh, that's going to be a strike. I got to swing at it. And so he got nothing behind it and just hit the weak fly ball to left field. And that was a strike right down the middle with a tremendous curveball.
Hanley Ramirez is 0 for 2. He's grounded to second, and he is struck out looking. Halladay has struck out 8. He's mixed in ground ball outs, strikeouts, and flyouts tonight. And he delivers a fastball for strike 1 to Ramirez. He put a little extra on that one. 95, and it's 1-1. That changeup makes it 2 balls and 1 strike to Ramirez. Ramirez, who last year led the league in hitting at .342.
See him going that rosin bag. And I was talking about in the first 3 innings how much he's wiping his hand and going that rosin bag because it is so hot and humid here.
After the last couple of outings, though, he probably likes this these warm temperatures. Inside, 3-1. He has had a handful of 3-ball counts tonight. Not as many lately as he had in the first inning. As Cantu waits on deck. In fact, he's had 6 3-ball counts, but half of them were in the first inning. Or 2 of the 3 were in the first. 2 of the 6 were in the first inning. 3-1 pitch to Ramirez. And he hits it foul. It's 3-2.
That was ball 4. And you got Ramirez to chase the sinker, it looked like. See if this pitcher's going to be low. Well, you know, it's hard to tell. You see from the side angle sometimes pitches that look low from the center field camera are knee high. That was close.
On the inside corner, called strike 3, 9 strikeouts for Roy Halladay. He has stunned one Marlins hitter after another. He has faced 21 batters tonight. He has retired all 21. This is number 21. Halladay takes a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Honda. Look for money-saving leases and low financing at your Honda dealer. By Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. And by your local Dodge dealers. Well, the breezes are blowing outside Sun Life Stadium. And the ball is moving every which way for that guy, Doc Halladay. He has a 1-0 lead as we go to the top of the 8th inning, and there's nobody getting near him in the dugout. I don't really talk to him too much on a normal day, but this is not a normal day for Roy Halladay. He has been as good as you can be with 9 strikeouts over 7 innings. And Clay Hensley takes over for Josh Johnson, who was equally as impressive in his own way through 7 for the Marlins.
Yeah, when you look at the Phillies team that couldn't score runs, not able to get them any which way, they got a gift run here tonight to lead 1-0.
Chase Utley, he was the one who hit the ball that led to the gift for the Phillies back in the 3rd. It was a ball off the glove of Cameron Maben that scored Wilson Valdez with the game's only run. Chase is 0 for 3. And Hensley delivers a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. The Hensley we're talking about is Clay Hensley, the former San Diego Padre.
Remember, when he was with the Padres, he was a sinker ball pitcher.
Kind of came 3/4 when he was with the Padres. Not as much anymore. And that one's hit into center field. That's pretty well hit. Maben going back has room. Oh, there's so much room out there. We said that about Citi Field. This is equally as deep at this ballpark. And 1 out.
Especially in that area.
Runs and hits have been tough to come by. Phillies scored that unearned run back in the 3rd. That's when Ryan Howard was intentionally walked after the ball that Utley hit. 0 for 2 officially. And he lays off a breaking ball, and it's 1-0. Year in and year out, the Marlins bullpen is changed. They tinker with it. I mean, every team does, but probably more than any other team. Part of that has to do with where they want to keep the salaries. The other part of it is that they generally have young players that they mix in with veterans like Hensley. And Jeffrey Loria, whose team is going to move into a brand new facility in 2012. You know, may not have to worry about that as much in the future. But for now, he's got to maintain a certain payroll, which is, you know, rising from time to time, or from year to year, I should say. But guys like Hensley and Kiko Calero last year, and Dan Meyer, you know, they're brought in to complement Hanley Ramirez and guys like that.
Well, they've come up with a closer now in Nunez.
That one's hit hard but foul by Ryan Howard. But it's 2-2.
They were competitive their first year in the league as an expansion team because they had Brian Harvey. And, you know, not that they won a ton of games, but they were in a lot of games. And when Brian Harvey, and they had a lead, he'd shut you down. He was a veteran guy that came over from the Angels, I think it was.
Well, the gentleman you saw next to Jeffrey Loria sitting in the stands is Michael Hill, who's their general manager. There's Michael. And it's his responsibility along with Larry Beinfest, who's the Marlins president, to make sure that this team is competitive, but with not a very high salary. And Howard is down on strikes. 2 outs. So 2 away, and that'll bring Jason Worth to the plate. Jason's hitless in 3 at-bats, a ground out and a couple strikeouts. There has not been a stretch where Jason has struggled as much as this stretch that he's in right now.
Humbling game.
Yeah, and it's only been 9 games, but it does, as Will said, humble you. That ball is hit high in the air to left center, not deep, and Conklin makes the catch, and the Phillies go down in order here in the 8th inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Phils. We played 7.5. We head on to the bottom of the 8th, and Roy Halladay heads back to the mound. Bottom of the 8th inning, Phillies lead it 1-0. Roy Halladay will face 4, 5, and 6 for the Marlins. It's Jorge Cantu to lead it off for Florida. Cantu is 0 for 2. He has struck out and he's grounded out.
Oh, man.
He just gets out of the way of that one. It's 2-0. That ball was not only coming at 92, but it was moving.
Yeah, with those blousy uniforms, that looked like I had a chance to nip him.
He tops it. And Halladay's got a strike. 2-1. Roy has struck out 9 so far in this game through the first 7 innings. Hit hard toward third. Flag down on 1 hop by Castro. The throw is in time to get Cantu. 1 out here in the 8th inning.
Boy, Halladay walked right off the mound towards Castro and gave him a nice going.
Charlie Manuel was asked today about Castro playing third. Well, this is one of the big reasons why he decided to put Castro at third.
Here's our Home Depot defensive play of the game. That ball was smoked on 1 hop, and he makes a tremendous play.
Home Depot defensive play of the game. The Home Depot doing more on defense. Dan Uggla has struck out, and he's fly to center. I have an umbrella over the 8 on the fly ball to center, but nothing has really been that deep tonight against Halladay. And he takes one at the knees for a strike. It's 1-1. The pace of this game with Halladay and Johnson has been unbelievable. And Roy is just getting the ball and getting on the rubber and firing. And he just misses with a curve, and it's 2-1. How do you answer all the questions about the number of pitches you've thrown in the last few starts? Well, if Charlie Manuel had a way to answer it, this is a perfect way to answer it tonight, because he has thrown a lot of strikes, and it's even 2-2 to Uggla. On the outside corner, strikeout number 10 for Halladay as Uggla goes down looking.
That was a strike, too. That ball came running back.
The last time the Phillies had a no-hitter, it was Kevin Millwood at the Vet against the Giants on the 27th of April, 2003, and it was Ricky Halladay who made a couple of really good catches to help preserve the no-hitter.
That was Marquise Grissom. Hit those balls, too.
And there it is, the final out. A big hug from Jim Thome. 2 big guys right there enjoying what was a beautiful day at the ballpark. Cody Ross, the hitter. And he pops the first pitch up foul into the seats. 0-1. Ross hit one to Castro at third back in the second inning. Hit one softly to Howard at first. And he pops it up. Shallow left field. Valdez pointed, and then he settles under it, and he makes the catch. Halladay has faced 24 batters tonight. He has retired all 24. It's an unbelievable performance that's brewing here in South Florida. We have completed 8 in Miami. It's the Phillies 1, the Marlins 0. It has been a hard night's work for Roy Halladay. He is through 8 innings. He is not allowed a base runner. We go to the top of the 9th inning. The Phillies lead it 1-0. This man has been on the precipice of history during the course of his career, and he has spun an unbelievable outing tonight. Very few have gone near him in the dugout. Very few go near him anyway, but look at that line. 10 strikeouts over 8 innings, no hits, no walks. And as we go to the top of the 9th inning, Leo Nunez is on for the Marlins, and Raul Ibanez leads it off for the Phillies.
Yeah, and the reality of the game, besides all this unbelievable stuff going on with Halladay, it's 1-0.
1-0.
So they're going to use Nunez here to keep it to a 1-run game.
Very good point.
Try and keep it to a 1-run game at home. This is some game. We started it as a pretty good matchup here tonight. These two right-handers. And it's not been bad.
And we always say when we have these kind of matchups, well, on paper it's this, on paper on that. Very few times does it turn out to be like this.
It's been pretty good.
Yep. Josh Johnson, the starter for the Marlins, went the first 7. Clay Hensley pitched the 8th. And now Nunez here in the 9th inning. The man is a thinker, and you wonder what he's thinking about right now. You know what he's probably thinking about? Brett Hayes, Cameron Maybin, and a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 9th inning.
He's thinking about winning a game, too.
Yep. 3-0. He got the green light, and he rolls it right inside the first base bag. 1 away. Sanchez takes care of Ibanez.
You think about a hitter off their bench. They have one left-handed batter, and that's Mike Lamb. So, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see him in the 9th inning.
Yeah, they have one of the game's better pinch hitters in Wes Helms, but he's a right-handed hitter. Here's Castro, who has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 for 3. He doubled back in the 2nd, flied out to center in the 4th, and singled in the 6th. And he hits it in the air to right. Pretty deep, but it's playable for Ross. That is no man's land out there in right. 2 away in the 9th. Carlos Ruiz has 2 hits. He is an infield single, and he drilled one to left back in the 4th, and he's also bounced into a fielder's choice. Phillies lead the division by a game and a half over the Atlanta Braves, who are leading their ball game against the Pirates. The Marlins are the bottom team, 4 games out. Roy Halladay waiting on deck, and Carlos takes a fastball for a strike. It's 0-1. Leo Nunez has had a good year for the Marlins, an ERA of 2.21. He has a very good fastball and a really good changeup. And he's ahead 0-2 to Ruiz. They got him in a deal for Mike Jacobs from the Kansas City Royals, and what a find he became. Speaking of fines.
Yeah, well, he was kind of guaranteed.
Yeah, he was.
He's been pretty good before he got in this uni.
Ruiz stays alive. He wasn't sure whether to swing, whether to stop, or then swing again.
Give Chooch a lot of credit here tonight, too, the way he's handled Roy Halladay. Watching it, you don't always know when they're shaking off, because sometimes guys will stare in when they want another pitch. They won't necessarily shake or do something with their glove, or they'll just keep looking in there. But they have been in a very, very good rhythm tonight.
Absolutely. Again, he fouls it off. There remains no balls and 2 strikes. Let's face it, it's important whenever a pitcher puts together the night that Roy Halladay has put together, you know, that the defense plays sound behind him, and he's gotten some good defensive plays. There was one by Chase Utley earlier in the game to his left on a ball that just kept on scooting to his left that he tracked down. The play by Castro over third, but then, you know, sometimes you see all those highlights of the sound defense behind him. You kind of forget about the catcher.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up about him. What a good job he's done tonight.
It's also given him a few extra moments to catch his breath in the on-deck circle with these foul balls.
Pitchers and catchers, there's a rhythm involved, and especially with a veteran guy. This guy, Moyer tomorrow, they don't want to be out there shaking off. You know, they have a game plan. They go over with the catcher and the pitching coach before the game. There's Jamie, and they want to execute it.
Towards second base, softly hit. Uggla's got it. Throws to first. The inning is over. 1, 2, 3 go the Phillies. Here in the top of the 9th inning, Carlos Ruiz will take the slow stroll back to the dugout. The Phillies as a team will start to settle down into their positions as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Roy Halladay has a 1-0 lead. He has faced 24 batters so far, and he will go back to work without allowing a base runner. And let's see how he's gotten to this point so far, Wheels.
Well, he came right out of the chute with great stuff here tonight with strikeouts in the first inning. Here's Coughlin. He thought this pitch is outside. It's right on the corner. He threw the bat away. Eventually struck out. There's another strikeout. He has 10 of them so far. He got Cantu. There's one on Uggla. He's pitched very well with off-speed stuff. He's gotten Hanley Ramirez twice called. Now here we go into the 6th inning. Brett Hayes tops one in front of the plate. And then here's this ground ball. That is a very close play at first, and a good play by Valdez. Now here we go to the 7th inning. Strikeout again on Coughlin away. Here's a fly ball on Sanchez on a 3-2 curveball, and then Ramirez again locked on a 3-2 fastball in the inside corner. We go to the 8th inning. Tremendous play here by Juan Castro. Circle that baby. And then he strikes out Uggla again, looking on a fastball that tailed back over the plate. And then that pitch right there is popped up by Cody Ross to Juan Castro, who squeezes it, and that's a pretty good inning.
How about the splits for Roy Halladay? 7 groundouts, 7 flyouts, and 10 strikeouts. Bottom of the 9th inning here at Sun Life Stadium in South Florida. The Phillies with an unearned run in the top of the 3rd lead it 1-0. Roy Halladay has faced 24 batters tonight. He's retired all 24. He has had a handful of 3-ball counts and a handful of 3-2 counts tonight. But he has been around the plate, and when he's needed a strikeout, he's gotten a strikeout. Now, the last no-hitter here in South Florida was from tomorrow's starting pitcher, Anibal Sanchez, September 6th, 2006. And who can forget the ground ball to shortstop that finished it off, and how long it took for this throw to get over to first. And the no-hitter was complete by Sanchez.
Here's Mike Lamb coming up right out of the chute.
Mike Lamb will pinch hit for Brett Hayes to lead off the bottom of the 9th. And a breaking ball a little low, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Lamb, who was just recalled from the minor leagues just a couple days ago. Hits one hard but foul, and it's 1-1. Overall, he's batting .211 with no homers and 3 RBIs. And he's had 14 at-bats against Halladay for his career. 2 hits during that time. What a night for Philadelphia. You got the Flyers and the Blackhawks playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. And you got Roy Halladay twirling a masterpiece down here in Miami.
Quiet bullpen. 1-0 game.
In the air to center field. Pretty deep. Victorino on the run toward the warning track. Roy Halladay is 2 outs away.
Not using the ballpark because this place is huge. And he kept it in the middle of the field, and Shane ran it down. That was a deep fly ball.
The last perfect game in Phillies history. Who could forget Jim Bunning at Shea Stadium?
Father's Day. Got Johnny Stevenson for the last out on a swing and a miss on a breaking ball. There it was.
That was a heck of a pitch right there. You talk about movement. There was a whole lot of movement right there.
Well, Buns had a pretty good breaking ball. I shouldn't call him that. He's a senator now. But he wouldn't mind.
Mr. Senator had a pretty good breaking pitch that night. Halladay just standing on the mound. There's Cookie Rojas. Where was he when that perfect game was thrown? Well, he was playing shortstop and played a little left field that day. He was 1 for 3 behind Jim Bunning.
Yeah, Wino came in that game. Bobby Wine played short, and Tony Taylor was the second baseman.
Wes Helms will pinch hit with 1 out here in the 9th inning. Maben was up at the plate and they called him back. And Helms takes one at the knees for a strike. It's 0-1. Josh Johnson went 7 for the Marlins. He allowed an unearned run. He struck out 6. Roy Halladay hasn't needed any help tonight. Swing and a foul tip. It's 0-2. So many folks say he's not a strikeout pitcher. Well, he's got 10 tonight.
It's a great shot of the bench.
Ooh. And it just missed. They're guarding the line at third. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Helms. On the inside corner, strikeout number 11. And Halladay is 1 out away from completing a perfect game. Wow.
It's going to be Ronnie Paulino.
3 straight pinch hitters. Boy, he is just painting.
Well, that's the way he's been all night. You know, he had a home plate umpire who's had corners on the plate tonight, and he's taking advantage of it.
Paulino, a 5-game hitting streak. Swings at the first pitch, and it's no balls and 1 strike. Charlie Manuel hasn't moved in quite some time, nor is Rich Doobie. 1-1 the count to Paulino. Earlier this week, Charlie was moving every which way in that dugout, trying to change his team's luck. He doesn't want to change anything tonight. 1-2 the count.
Change up.
Saw the wiggle of the fingers from Carlos Ruiz. Paulino down to the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Those tambourines are coming in handy now. Everybody on their feet. Halladay's got his signs. The 1-2 pitch. Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins, fires. A perfect game! Roy Halladay has thrown the 2nd perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history. He faces 27 batters. He retires all 27. It's the 20th perfect game in baseball history and the 2nd one this year.
He finally smiles, boy. Boy, this is a throw.
That man has seen so much during his career. These fans, well, they probably believed from the 4th inning on. What a night here in South Florida as Roy Halladay has thrown a perfect game. He didn't crack a smile all night long. He can crack as many smiles and as many bottles of champagne as he wants to now.
What a throw to watch that.
Unbelievable.
Boy, you know, come to a Major League Baseball game, you tell people you never know what can happen when you show up, and tonight you thought you might see a pretty good pitching performance.
Oh.
A perfecto in a Phillies uni. Wow.
They call it Super Saturday here at South Florida. Well, when they called it that, I'm not sure if they expected this.
Look, they may be going out to try and get the pitching rubber right now. See Frank Koppenbarger out there talking to the ground crew, and they may be asking for it. Here's the final out. Looked like a cutter away. Castro, and here's Halladay. Yeah, that's about as emotional as he gets, huh?
Oh boy, oh boy. How about Carlos Ruiz? We'll set it. What a night for Carlos. You don't think he's taking pride in this? A perfect game. Unbelievable.
Yeah, here it is again, off the end of the bat. It wasn't hit real hard, but he knows he has a lot of time, does Castro, because the catcher's running. And he took his time and made sure he made the right throw. And, you know, now they're going to have a concert here, and the lights are going off in this place. But unbelievable night, Tommy.
Well, let's go down quickly to Sarge, who's with Roy Halladay. Sarge, take it away.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Roy, 27 batters, 27 outs. Tell us a little bit about it.
I don't know what to say. You know, we felt like we got in the groove early. And, you know, about the fifth or sixth, I was just following Chooch. You know, I can't say enough about the job he did today. Mixed pitches. You know, for me, it was really a no-brainer. It was, you know, once we got to the fifth or sixth, I just followed him.
Yeah, a lot of times when you come from the bullpen, a lot of times, especially number ones, they don't seem to be ready, and that's when teams take advantage of them. But you seem to have good stuff right away.
Yeah, we, you know, talking to Jamie and some other guys, had some things that I wanted to work on, and you know, I felt good with it. I felt like, you know, early in my bullpen, I was hitting spots more than I had been. So, you know, I felt like I just carried that out there.
Last question. How about all the Philly fans here standing up, coming in that ninth inning? Did you feel it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I don't know what else to say.
Right, thank you. All right, guys, back up to you.
All right, Sarge, thank you very much. Boy, we could say we're privileged to have seen a lot of things over the last handful of years. A World Series championship, 2 straight World Series appearances. But man, are we privileged to watch what we saw tonight.
For 40 years watching games, I've never seen a perfect game in person. I've seen no hitters. Never saw a perfect game. It's great.
Well, let's take a look at this final out. Look at the way that ball was moving right at the end. The reaction by Roy Halladay.
Yeah, it looked like a little cutter that he threw in there. And he just trickled it off the end of the bat. When that was first hit, he thought, uh-oh, that's in
to the hole. Yeah, I thought
but
the same thing.
But then you realize it didn't have much juice behind it, and Juan was right there to cut it off because that ball was in the hole. But and it was really neat the way he talked about Chooch there and the way they worked together, because it became pretty obvious that game was going on. He wasn't shaking them off. It didn't seem like. They were just working great together.
Well, what a gift for this ball club. What a gift for that guy. What a gift for all Phillies fans. Don't forget our next telecast will be tomorrow in Florida. So much more coming up on Phillies Post Game Live, so stay with us.